Welcome to Mission Sports TV. This is The Locker Room. I'm Dave DeRocher, and I'm here with my buddy Tim Busy. How you doing, young man?
Doing well, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, as always. Hey, we're gonna get right to this because our guest this week, actually for the next 2 weeks, is Manase Sapolu, and a 15-year 49er. I've gotten to know him over the last 2 years by working with his Men in the Trenches camps, which we'll talk about. But the one word that resonates when I think of Jesse is humble. It's a great characteristic, and I don't know. Have you come across any players like that? Are people in your life that's resonated with you?
Yeah, I mean, the guys who are just doing it for the right reasons. You know, it's not a me thing. It's really they're playing for something bigger. It's part of their journey. It's part of their purpose. Those are the guys that I've really seen and, you know, that stick out in your mind when you think back. They have an impact truly on you and the people around you and your teammates. So I can't wait for the people to hear of Jesse's story. I think he epitomizes that word that you said. So looking forward to hearing his stories and his insights to what he's accomplished.
So, you know, being that he and I are a bit older and played, you know, a few decades before you did, and back in the 80s, you know, the game of football is a team sport. It is still a team sport, but it's almost like you wouldn't know it to watch it today. And what Jesse's going to share is something that it was the sacrifices that all those players made for the betterment of the team. And what was more important than the name on their back was the emblem on their sleeve and the emblem on their helmet to build something, and it was about the team. And if you watch clips from back in the earlier days of football, when a player made a play, they put the ball down, they went back to their teammates, and they celebrated. And it was about building each other up. If somebody made a bad play, they'd pick them up, pat them on the butt, and get them back into the huddle and build each other up. Unfortunately, today, I mean, it's as simple as just making a catch. Hey, look, son, you're making $14 million. I hope you catch that ball. But if they make a touchdown, it's not about getting with your buddies. They push everybody aside and they say, look at me. It's all about the name on the back, and it's not as much about the emblem anymore. And it's losing its kind of, I don't know, to me, what I loved watching was guys going to battle, right, and persevering and figuring out and doing it together. It's kind of lost some of that. But you know, you played, you know, a little bit more recently. Did you see any of that kind of coming to fruition?
I mean, I think it comes team to team, right? I think that there's and I've been on good teams and I've been on bad teams, and that word sacrifice that you used, right? On the good teams, guys understood that they were sacrificing for each other, you know, that the guy next to you was more important than yourself. And on the bad teams, it was a lot of me guys, you know, locker room lawyers that were bad-mouthing each other, complaining about playing time and their role. So, I mean, the good teams, the ones that last, the ones that you were proud to be a part of, I think that they did build each other up, that they did celebrate for each other, and that they did care more about the team than themselves.
Yeah. You know, unfortunately, there's been some very sad examples. You know, one of the more recent ones that I could think of is like an Antonio Brown, who 2 seasons ago was undoubtedly, you know, if not the best receiver in the league, top 3, undoubtedly. Last year, went to a Steelers game, and at one of the huge fan stores was a bin of jerseys, and it said Brown jerseys, $5 each, and there's probably 300 in the bin. Nobody wanted to buy them for $5 each. The season before, you could not find a Brown jersey for $250 because they were sold out. You know, and I looked at that, and I had to take a picture. And the thing that came to mind is an indication that your ego is greater than your character and your talent. And boy, you know, I think the ego and the sense of entitlement today is rising, and we're losing fact of what a team sport's all about. But you know, I'm looking forward to our next guest. He's gonna shed so much information and share so many things, and how he grew up in faith and how faith has resonated in his life and carries over and it translates in everything he does. So When we come back, we're going to have Jesse Sapolu as our guest. Be right back. Okay, welcome back into the locker room. We are now joined by our esteemed guest, Manase Jesse Sapolu. Now I have to read this. I've already told. So also, this is going to be a two-part because this man has done it and is continuing to do it, and we want to recognize him and have him share. But give me a minute as I read this intro, and I have to tell you, I condensed this intro to fit into a 30-minute presentation. So, first of all state offensive lineman in high school. Went on to the U of H, University of Hawaii, where he was All-Western Athletic Conference and All-American. Was drafted by both the USFL and the NFL in 1983, the year I graduated high school. Drafted by the 49ers in the 11th round. And he just went on to be one of 6 49ers to own 4 Super Bowl rings, championship rings, 2-time All-Pro. Was awarded the Ed Block Courage Award, being the only black one, you say first, but only player to ever come back from open heart surgery and play a season in the NFL. This is the kind of man we're talking to. And then his honors go on to being inducted into the Farmington High School Hall of Fame, being inducted into the University of Hawaii Hall of Honor, being inducted into the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame, is the founder of the Polynesian Hall of Fame, founder of the nationally televised Polynesian Bowl, and the founder of the Men in the Trenches camps, of which I am very proud to have been a member and participated in the last 2 years. Mr. Jesse Sapolu, welcome to the show, brother.
Welcome, Jesse.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
So,
Gosh, well, I don't think you could possibly have a better resume than what you've been able to do, not only on the field, but off the field and what you're doing in the community, which is why we're making this a 2-parter. Dave's got his Mitch shirt on. I got my Super Bowl hat on because, you've gone to a couple of these and won a couple of these. We're going to just jump right into it. Tell us about young Jesse growing up and faith playing a role in your life.
Well, I was born in Samoa and grew up in a village. And then in 1971, my parents used to come over to the States to visit family during their vacation in the mid-60s. And obviously they saw that there was a lot more opportunities here for their kids. So in 1971, we left the ministry of that village and moved here to Los Angeles for about 1.5 years. And that's when I first started learning how to play football at Scott Park in Carson, the flag football that is. And then my dad got called back from a church in Honolulu to preach there. So we were there for about 15 years. And, I went to high school there, played in a Western Athletic Conference that Dave and I played in at the University of Hawaii. And then my first time back in California is when I was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 1983. So, and in all those years, the funny thing is I couldn't play tackle football. It was all flag because I had a torn aortic valve in my heart. And, this is before social media. And then when I got to high school, I was so big for my age that the coaches couldn't help but ask me to come out for the team. But this is before social media. What goes on 20 miles away from the school, the doctors don't know that. So I was able to do that until I got to the University of Hawaii. Well, I got some press for making, the all-freshman All-American team and then the all-Western athletic team. That the doctors at Children's Hospital heard about it. And then they conferred with some of the doctors at the University of Hawaii, and they decided that they were going to monitor my situation every year and see how much bigger my heart was going to be. Because when you tear the aorta in your heart, it's like bench pressing. The heart is a muscle, and when my heart pumps, there's extra blood that drips back down to the new pump. So obviously Dave knows this. When you bench press 400 pounds compared to 200 pounds, you get bigger when you bench press 400 pounds. And that's that's what that valve caused my heart to make it work harder. So naturally it got bigger, or it had the potential to get bigger. And they followed that all the way. When the 49ers drafted me, they knew about it. So during every minicamp, while we were meeting, they would sneak me out so the media didn't know about it, to the cardiologist and do that echocardiogram every year just to measure the walls of my heart if it got bigger. And, fortunately, it wasn't until after my 14th year that they said it was to the point where it was really dangerous. But by that time, they had surgery, a procedure where, because the thing that they do with my heart is, for that people that have it, is they put an artificial valve. So when you put an artificial valve and you hit somebody, it's going to cause you to have blood clots. So as soon as they would put a artificial valve in my heart, I'll be done, because what we did for a living is hit people. So, but by that time, because I played so long, they had a new procedure called a Ross procedure, which is a cadaver valve that allowed them to put it into my heart, which allowed me to come back. And it was important for me to come back because there are other kids that have my condition that couldn't play. And for me to go out and play gives them an opening to know that even when they were born with that kind of stuff, that they have an opportunity to live their dream if they ever want to go to the NFL. And 6 months after they opened my chest up, I lined up in Denver in the preseason game against the Broncos. So that was a pretty neat experience.
That's something else. I mean, I had a herniated disc. I've had some twisted ankles, but to play with a torn aorta, that's something else that unprecedented.
Well, Dave can tell you, if it was today, I look at it, yeah, it was crazy. The mentality that we developed over the years of playing the game, the first thing that comes to our minds is, I can do it. Right. I remember warming up, and John Madden walked on the field because they come in during warm-ups to talk to you a little bit so they can know what to talk about in the booth. And he came straight to me and he says, when did you report back to camp? And this is on a Saturday. It's a preseason game. And I said, I came in Wednesday. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And, we've known John over the years, broadcasting all games. But this was my 15th year. So it was kind of crazy. But at the same time, I felt like it was something that I needed to do to help kids.
When you were younger, your dad was a minister? A preacher?
Yes, my dad's a preacher. You're breaking up a little bit, Dave, but yeah, my dad's a preacher.
Okay. So what was that like growing up then with that influence? I do know on the islands that faith is, I would say it's pretty strong. I think it's pretty core. That's an outsider looking in. But how did faith play a role in your youth?
Well, honestly, when I speak at Polynesian functions, in Samoa and the islands, the seal at the Capitol, there's a saying that says, in Samoa, which means in Samoa, God is first. And God is first and foremost in everything that we do. Just to give you an example of how important faith was to my parents, as my parents served the church, I promise you, Dave, I think my dad saw me play 2 games of high school and saw me a little bit more in college because they were living in San Diego. So when we used to come and play the Aztecs or Nevada, Las Vegas, they would drive there. So he probably saw me play 3 games in college. He saw me play 1 game in the NFL. And the reason why he saw me play 1 game in the NFL, because he couldn't miss church. We would come here to play the Los Angeles Rams in Anaheim. And there was about 50-something members of the church that I had to buy tickets for that are Ram fans that come to the game, but my parents are preaching at the church in pretty much a halfway full, church, because they wouldn't miss that. But it's the mindset that he kind of put into me, Dave, that he always tells me, the blessing that you receive is because of how we serve the Lord. And I was never a child that says, well, why is my dad not here? Why, my mom saw me play one game, and that was Super Bowl 24. Why aren't my parents here? That wasn't the mentality for us back then. Now with kids that get in trouble when they said because the parents don't support them, it was a different mindset for me because I knew what was first in my family, and that's my parents serving God, serving the Lord, and preaching the gospel. But I also truly believe that because of their work, the blessing was they gave me as a player was something that we truly believe in as a family. So I had no problems with that.
One of the things that was really attractive about getting involved with you and your program with the kids was the fact that we would lead meetings with prayer and the big super lineman event that we hold each year that you hold for all the area high schools is opened with 400 plus high school athletes, coaches, and participants praying. And I just think that that's just a great example and a great thing, and it's unfortunately missing in today's sport. Like you keep referring to, back in the day, things were a lot more, I guess, accepted, but there's still pressures of church and school. But hey, talk to us a little bit about being an 11th round draft pick, which you jokingly say that's low. Well, I was a 12th round draft pick, so there's lower than 11, yes. But share being an 11th round draft pick and walking on to the Niners and just share some stories from that.
Well, Dave, congratulations, because me and you would have been free agents today. But yeah, so I was an 11th round draft choice. I don't know if my heart valve has something to do with me dropping in the draft. But for me, yeah, the day off, you're a little disappointed because you saw some names. I was the 53rd offensive lineman drafted in that draft. So disappointed that day, but at the same time, the next day I woke up, I was very thankful of the opportunity. But it really helped me in my career because I walked around for 15 years and never forgot that chip on my shoulder. And it's something that I felt really helped me in the long run. Yeah, I didn't get the money up front right away, like my first 3-4 years. I had to earn everything. But once you became a legitimate starter, and then we went back-to-back Super Bowls, but yet they switched my position when Randy Cross retired. We won the Super Bowl in '89. I was a left guard. And then the next year, Randy announced his retirement at the Super Bowl or during the Super Bowl week. So Bill Walsh, before I even know it, said, well, next year, Jesse Sapolu is switching over to center. And the next year, I switched over to center. We went 14-2, and it was the most lopsided Super Bowl in history. This is against John Elway and the Denver Broncos. It was 55-10 or something like that. That's when I started earning some money, but I had to hold out 4 weeks to do it. Because, here's the thing in the NFL, right? And not that we're spoiled, but me and you can sign a 4-year contract, but they can cut us after the second year if it doesn't work out. So if I outplayed my contract, why can't I? We just won back-to-back Super Bowls. I played at 2 different positions, and yet I'm getting paid lower than guys that are sitting at home year in and year out that's not playing in the playoffs. So I did that, and this is before free agency, so the only way we could do it is to stay home during training camp. And but that chip has always been on my shoulder all the way to my last year because nothing was really a gift. It was always something that I had to earn. And I think it's a great thing because it not only helped me, it's how I raised my kids. And it's how I try to teach the kids of today, even though I just know in my heart that they don't have that toughness. Not that we'll look down at the kids that way, but they don't have the toughness that we have just because of the generation that we grew up in. As an example, you were saying that I asked you to pray before 460-something linemen. I understand that the day and age that we live in, there might be some people that are offended by that. But that's me. It's my tournament. I believe in God, and God is first in my life. And we have to protect the kids. And I truly believe when we pray, that's a form of us asking God to protect the kids as they compete that day. So that's just the way things are right now.
Going from 11th round, torn aorta, right? All the odds stacked against you, to starting 154 games in the National Football League. I mean, that's a feat. Not many guys get to even see 154 games. So doing that and then reaching, the top of the game, you got to 4 Super Bowls. So, I mean, you've seen both ends. You've been in the ugly part fighting in the trenches, and then you've rose all the way to the very top. Take us through those Super Bowl experiences and what it is like playing in the biggest game in the sport.
Well, then, like now I'm sitting back, and even when I went to the Super Bowl, I participated in some of the fan stuff that we did. I think the one thing that crosses my mind is I wish I could just take it in a little bit more when I was playing. But then at the same time, I'm thinking that maybe I wouldn't have been undefeated in Super Bowls. I think it was necessary to just totally tune things out and focus on what's at hand. And my approach is, I always think about the days in Samoa when I didn't sleep on a mattress, sleep on a hard floor on the mat, and then came here. You're lucky if you have a full meal 3 times a day. Those are the kind of stuff that naturally goes through the mind when you're sitting in that locker room, knowing that this is the biggest game the #1 sport in America offers, and how in the world did I end up here, right?
Right.
So when you think that way, then you don't want to let go of those opportunities, because the #1 thing that I was fearful of is being regretful after the game. I wanted to leave everything on the line. There was no tomorrow. It comes down to 60 minutes. And it also crossed my mind that my kids and grandkids will always know their grandfather because of this particular game. And that's something that we talked about as a team. That we're not just playing for that particular game in that particular year. This is something that our kids and grandkids can look back on and say, my grandfather played in 4 Super Bowls. So the significance is so important that it's almost like we play like our lives depended on it. But that's the mindset that you have to take, because it's not easy to stay undefeated in that game. As you can tell, Dave. My heart's been broken 2 times the last time the 49ers went because we lost at the last minute. And at the same time, we used to brag about, we're the only team that was 5-0 in Super Bowls, but now we're 5-2. But I try to share with the rookies now. If you ever go and play in the playoffs, understand that you're not just playing for you today. You're playing for your grandkids to be proud of you down the line, that your grandfather did something. Because when you put it in that context, then it's something that's bigger than you, and you gotta take care of business and take advantage of the opportunity, because it may never come back. Now seeing you wear a Miami hat, my first Super Bowl was against Dan Marino when he threw for 5,000 yards, and that year, defensive backs would mug the receivers coming off the line of scrimmage. They don't run around freely like they do today. And if you come down the middle, it wasn't a penalty for Ronnie Lott to put his forearm right under your chin. So for him to throw for 5,000 yards, in my mind and in my heart, he would have thrown for 7,000 yards in today's room in that particular year. But that's how good that offense was.
Anybody that has had an NFL career, okay, that's cool. But then when you have an NFL career that includes being one of 6 49ers to own 4 Super Bowl championship rings, that's a dynasty that you participated in, and not only participated in, were a key factor in. And we're talking about everyday names like Montana, Rice, and Young, but then Sapolu. So, I share with him, I share with everybody that when I speak about part of the MITT program and everything know you, is how humble you are. And it's a good example for me to keep myself intact, because when I see a person that's attained all that you've attained and still being a humble, God-fearing man is why you're in my life. It's awesome. And, you know, you've got to reflect back on that and say, man, that was really something special.
Well, you know, Dave, the fact that you came and joined me at Men in the Trenches and you played in the league, you know, when we put the kids first, you know, and then again, we talked about, I didn't play so I can go out and say, hey, I'm just a Sapolu, this and this and that. I protected Joe Montana. No, I played so my grandkids know that their grandfather did something. So when you do it in that context, then you come back and you adjust to your life after football. All you want to do is help kids and be realistic with their dreams. Number one is use this game to get an education. Because you know, Dave, where we play, only 0.5% ever smelled that league. You know, but because of today with Twitter and Facebook, I've never seen the word beast being used on a 14, 15-year-old. That has not earned it, you know, and maybe I'm old school in my beliefs. But I try to explain to the kids, man, hey, you haven't seen nothing. You know, in high school, you can be the very best high school player in 15 years in your area. But when you go to college, you're just an average guy that you got to earn it again. Right. So when that happens in college and then you try to go to the NFL, I mean, you go from the top 5% in college of football players in the world that plays Division I football to 1/2 or 1%. The odds are 99.5% you won't make it in that league. So it's very easy for us to be humble because we did it for the right reasons, Dave. I didn't do it so that I can boast and this and that. I did it to prove people wrong because, as you can see, The Last Dance, I can identify with a lot of that stuff that was going on with the Chicago Bulls, you know. And then when I'm here as a spectator watching the New England Patriots, you know, they talk about the Patriots way. It's not fun. You hear people say, well, they don't have fun. Okay, yeah, they don't have fun, but they have rings. They don't have fun, but they have rings. But it all depends on how you spin it. It's not that you don't have fun. It's just that you have to sacrifice for the team, for that machine to become the very best in the world. And that's what we did, because the thing that people don't know is that I won 4 Super Bowls, but I lost 4 NFC Championship games. And those NFC Championship games were really the Super Bowls, because during my generation, our generation, the NFC, if you look it up, we won 16 straight Super Bowls before the AFC broke it when Green Bay upset Denver and San Diego. We won 16 straight. So every NFC Championship game that I played in, the winner of those games went on to win the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, people talk about my 4 Super Bowls, but for me, I still hurt when I think about those 4 losses in the NFC Championship. Those stay with you forever. Because when Brady wins his 6th, I'm laying in my bed thinking, oh gosh, I wish I didn't lose those 4, because I could be sitting here with 6 or 7, which was realistic. The ball bounces a certain way and you're sitting here with 6 rings. So, but those are the kind of things that we try to share with the kids. Why humility is so important is doing it for the right reason. Because if you do it for the wrong reason, you might get away with making the NFL with your talent, but you won't last, because at some point that's going to show up. Now, you look at The Last Dance and people say, well, Michael Jordan was a mean, that we have every year we bring in all the alumni. We have Alumni Day, right? There's guys today that still talk to me about when Ronnie Lott cussed him out in the huddle some 28 years ago. It's a scar that stays with you. But we laugh about it. It probably wasn't funny to them then, but we laugh about it now, but the scar is still there. But I look at it this way. What was necessary for us to talk about me being part of a dynasty today. It was necessary to be that. It was necessary to be uncomfortable. It was necessary to try to live up to a standard that it's either Super Bowl or bust, because that's what it was for us. That's what it is for New England. Now they're going through a crossroads right now because their quarterback went somewhere else. Joe Montana went on to the Kansas City Chiefs when I played. So it'll be interesting to see. I wish there was this pandemic because I want to see everything materialize. It's exciting to see Brady in another uniform.
Brady, or if it's the program, right? And that's been the story. Is it Brady or is it the Patriots way? You know, and so we'll see. We'll see what resonates. I knew that we were gonna go on and on and on with you. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take a break. We'll wrap up this session, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk more about you today because we got a good feel for what was, and I'd love to see your opinion on what is. And so we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back with another episode with Jesse. Tell our guests where they can find us and how they can like us and how they can find Jesse's interview.
Yes, Mission Sports TV. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, guys. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, give us a follow, and we want to hear from you. So reach out, comment. We want to hear what you have to say about Jesse's career and his journey, and let's build this community. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back here soon.
We'll be back with a good teammate.